This is a quick demo of the settings system that I made for Godot. The GitHub link is in the description, or it should be. So basically, my setup that I have here is I just have a global scene that's called just Scene Manager that it's global, so all the scenes will have it, and then I have a settings scene inside of it. Um, and yeah, that's basically it. Uh, Inside of the settings, I have the kind of menu layout with a bunch of control nodes. And basically, what I found was the best thing to do was to just create some different types of setting, like button options. So I have a, I made an on off button and then a drop down menu and then also like a scroller thing. And then also, of course, keybinds. So like that. And basically, it's pretty simple to just add more settings. Whoops, let me pull this up. So here are a couple of like display and screen settings that I configured with this. So I just have like an on-off button. Uh, and basically each kind of button has its own values that you can set. They're export variables. And basically, the ID is like the setting ID value that's actually used in like the code that where you kind of define like what to do for each setting that is configured. And then its type, which is video, this kind of just groups them in the config file. And then a group, this is for having like a setting group where you uh, select certain options and then you hit like an apply button. So it's like the options you select aren't applied automatically after you hit the button. You have to hit like, as you can see right here, this apply display settings button right here. So that's like for all of these. And then you can have the custom on off text and then setting name that's displayed right here. So if I change this, then it's like, as you can see, it's like that. So let me go back. And then kind of the same thing. The drop downs are basically the same thing. They contain arrays of drop-down objects that contain names that are displayed for the drop-down and IDs that are just strings that you use in your code to identify which thing the user chose. Basically, scroll things right here, which are basically the same thing. You can set like the values of it, and then you can also do like if it's a percentage or not. I could, I don't, the export variables are not really 100% like amazing with updating to the screen because the scripts use like the tool thing, and I'm not really that smart with that. So the controls, basically, they're a little different because they're kind of handled differently with like setting and resetting them. Um, Basically, what I have for mine, which you can change if you want to like decide to use this. Um, I just have the setting, the ID, which is the input map, uh, kind of name for whatever like input you're trying to change. So I have left right here set to the A key, and so I have the ID is left, and then the setting name right there, type. I don't really know why you change the type, but yeah, that's about it. It grabs the value from the input map and takes basically just puts it in as like the default. But if there's something that is saved, then it just grabs that instead. And yeah, and you can configure it obviously. Here is okay, so this is the main scene manager global. It just has an input event function that listens for if it is able to pause and the person pressed escaped. The person pressed escape and then it opens or closes the settings. And then, yeah, as of now, I just have it if the person presses escape, it opens the settings menu. So if you want to have like a pause menu, then you might need to switch this around a little bit because you just open the pause menu and then in the pause menu you can open the settings from there. So but I don't have it like that. So just FYI. And then If I go into here, here's all the open close settings functions you can change. Just warning you, this is like kind of like 400 lines of code, so I apologize. Save setting takes a value, just any value, and saves it in the config with the type and ID. And process setting is this is the main part where you can change what parts of your settings do. So basically, this is a little weird. My on off button, the on off value is passed as a Boolean. So these are for all the on off buttons. And I just kind of sectioned these spots off. I don't know if this is the best way to do it, but yeah. And then float or ints would be the scroller buttons. So like 3D resolution and then audio. And then these are just some functions that I set up for changing the audio stuff. The string is the drop down. So it goes to here and then it passes the um, drop down value. So if it passes a value into the change window mode, the value is the string ID from the drop down data object that I was talking about earlier. So if I go to here, it just matches these values and it sets it like that. These display functions are a little weird. I was just messing around with the Godot kind of functions that it has for the display server. There's some weird like bugs and stuff in it that I tried to navigate in there. And then there's a separate process hotkey function, and then input. These are for the hotkeys that just handle the inputs that are given to it, the input events. There's the reset settings function that takes in like a type um, and resets whatever type of setting that is wanted to be reset. So if I have my, I'll go to audio settings. Here's my button to reset. This button is its own thing also. It has a function name to call. So I just do reset settings here and then the node to call the function on and the arguments right here. So I just pass in audio and then it resets it like that. And then is enabled for whether you can press the button or not if you might want to change that for whatever reason. And yeah, and then apply group is the function that applies all the settings specified for a group that were not set yet that I was talking about, like the display settings. And then yeah, this is also part of the group thing. There's an input function that handles monitor tracking the current monitor the user is on. So like if they press like the Windows Shift and then like arrow key button to change their monitor, it tracks that in the settings. And so then yeah, it won't display like, the wrong monitor that they're on. And then also handled in the input is the if it's remapping. This was from a YouTube video I think I was looking at. Um, just handling different things that Godot's input system has and just making sure that it gets an actual value. And then, yeah, and then here are just some functions that I made. These could probably be in like a separate file. Like these could be like this could be like its own like display uh, node thing with the script or whatever. I don't know. Oh yeah, so I can uh, demo this real quick. This is just like a random scene. If I press escape, then it opens the settings, and then I can navigate through my settings right here. And as you can see, here's the display settings right here. I'm going to go to audio first, so you can like change the master volume. Obviously, this isn't playing anything. And then yeah, and then you do some of that. And then if you change your stuff right here, this reset button to the reset button to reset the settings to default, resets everything. If I change these and then I stop the game and then I load it back up, then I can go back and then it saves it and it loads the configured settings back in. Let me just reset that. And then this is the display stuff. Something to note the display monitor is kind of like a special thing because it has to detect like the current monitors that the user has for the computer. So this like kind of updates by itself. I think settings manager kind of handles a lot of that. And one thing to note for getting like display screen resolutions, if the user's like OS scaling for the different monitors has like different scaling for whatever monitors and stuff, the resolution that the Godot gets can be like a little off for what like the actual pixel resolution the monitor is. So like it can be a little weird. Um, I'm on this laptop, so it only has this. Um, and yeah, so if I set these things right here, so VSync on, as you can see, it just kind of does this little yellow thing. You can change whatever effect it does in the uh, on off script for this on off button thing right here. And then I can change to like Bordeaux's full screen or actually windowed. Change the aspect ratio. I don't know if this really 100% works. I was messing around with this. You might want to look at it. It works kind of for me. So, yeah, if you want to change the aspect ratio of the game and then change the stretch mode, and then boom, just like that. And then now we're in windowed mode, so we can move the window around. And then if we want to change stretch mode to fill, then we can do that. We can go like that, all around like that. Whoops, too small. And then controls, if you go into here, move forward. I have this set as W and configure this, and so it says it's listening. And I set it to like E, and then this handles some like some weird stuff, which you might want to configure if you're doing your own control settings. If you're using this for multiplayer, be careful. I wouldn't use the system that I use because saving input events into config files is kind of dangerous. So don't do that. If you're doing a single player game, you are totally fine though. Like it doesn't really matter. But just what I have is it saves the actual inputs into the config file, which have like a script variable that's saved with them for some reason. I don't know why it saves that, but I saw something that that can be exploited by smart people. Yeah, I can just configure this and then I can reset it to make it go back to the um, input map in the project settings that's specified what this is. So these are all the default things. And I have it set to save the input events because I think that would make it easier for adding like controller um, configurations too. Right now, this isn't really the best thing for controllers, but if you wanted to add like, setting or like, a part of this to change, be able to change both controller uh, inputs and keyboard inputs, I think it'd be nicer if you just save the input events themselves. And yeah, so I just have it like that, and then I can just reset all controls to default like that, and it resets them. So if I just change all these, then boom. And also, once again, this is not like the most perfect setting system. The functions that I have for like the settings that I have, like these display functions, are they're not like 100% gonna work on everything. I don't really know if they work on everything. Um, these are just things that I made for I don't know, for my game. Hopefully they work. But yeah, thank you for watching.